listening to the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast, coming to you from the kitchen studios located high atop the historic Raleigh building, located in the heart of downtown Raleigh. The NC F&B Podcast takes you behind the scenes of North Carolina's food and beverage industry. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at NCFBPod. This episode is sponsored in part by Food Scene. That's foodscene.com, providing professional photography, social media management, video production, and website design. That's Food Scene. And now, the sommeliers to the stars, the barbacks in your backyard. It is Max and Matt.
Hello, and thank you for listening to the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast. I am your co-host, Max Trujillo.
And I am your co-host, Matthew Weiss. And today, belly up and grab a place at the table, because we have the owner of that very fine establishment, that unique thing that happens in downtown Raleigh, just down the road here on Hargett Street. We have the owner, Ms. Maggie Kane. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. That was a great introduction.
Well, it's deserving.
It's factually incorrect, though, Matt. You are the executive director of the place at the table. Is that correct?
I apologize.
That is correct. I get asked all the time, are you the owner? And I don't know how nonprofits and restaurants work with that, or nonprofit restaurants. I'm the founder and executive director.
Okay. I see.
Yeah, so that is one of the first questions I was going to ask you, so I'm glad we're already there. Hello, by the way, and welcome to the
show of record for the industry, food and beverage industry in North Carolina.
So you're the executive director. I guess I was talking to Matt about that. I said, your title is executive director. So how is that different than being the general manager or the owner? But I guess maybe you already led us down that path that your business is a nonprofit, and so that's the title you would take.
Mm-hmm. So we are a nonprofit, and nonprofits have board of directors. So it functions differently than regular restaurants or regular businesses. And the board of directors is in control of the whole restaurant. At the end of the day, if the plumbing breaks, if the power goes out, I'm the one that gets called. I'm the one that fixes it. So
you function as an owner.
I function as an owner. I also have a general manager. I have a fantastic one. His name is Josh. He makes sure the restaurant runs day to day. But again, if the toilet breaks, I'm coming in.
So where did you learn all your plumbing background?
It's called You Call Good People.
Right.
You have a list of people on speed dial for those things. I talk from experience.
So let's
set the table.
Yeah, set the table. Take us to the genesis of this idea and how it came about.
Let's go back 4 years.
Okay.
It's been a long time, right? I feel like it needs that. It's been a long time coming. I get asked all the time, every single day. People say, "I've been following you since the beginning." When was that? Was that January? Was that December 2017? And I say, no. January of 2015. So it's been a long time coming. I was working for a nonprofit in downtown Raleigh, working with people experiencing homelessness or poverty, and saw that there was this need. There was a need for another place. I was eating in soup kitchens with people and seeing that, at a soup kitchen, yes, it fills a need, but we'd stand in line, we'd get handed a plate, and we'd sit down and eat in 5 minutes so someone else could come in and eat. So at that moment, I started taking people out for meals. We'd go wherever they wanted. And these were people who were experiencing homelessness or poverty. And we'd go to Golden Corral or K&W. And I always asked why those places. And folks said it's because we have choice and we get served. So we get to choose whatever we want. If we want a waffle or we want a salad that day, and then we get served. Someone comes over and acknowledges that we exist and that we are humans, and brings us water and fills our coffees. And so I started to think, what could we do that's different? I found the pay what you can system. There are over 60 pay what you can cafes across the country. Next time, hopefully you're interviewing the other one in North Carolina. It's called Farm Cafe. It's in Boone. It's right on King Street. Their models.
They're actually walking in right now. Sorry, this interview's over.
I'm going to get up and I'm going to hug them because they're some of my greatest friends.
Nice.
So let's explain. So what is a place at the table? So just so people that aren't in the area kind of understand what you're doing.
Yeah. So we're a pay what you can nonprofit cafe. The pay what you can system means that when you walk in, everything is a suggested price. So you come in and get an avocado toast and it's $6. You can pay that. You can pay more, and you do that through tipping or buying meal tokens that go right back out into the community for people who need a meal, you can pay less. So if you're having a hard week, come in and pay $2, $3 for your meal. And if you can't pay anything, you volunteer with us.
Okay, but someone can't abuse the system and just get the food for free.
Nope. We are not a handout. We are a hand up. So there are good soup kitchens. There are great places to eat here for free.
Yeah.
We are not that.
Yeah.
We want people to be a part of it. We want people to come in and feel like they are both getting a hand up, but also a part of something that's bigger than themselves. And so they volunteer with us. They work alongside our staff. We have lots of volunteers every single day. So it's not uncommon to be volunteering for your meal.
So how does that work? Is there a set price to say, okay, well, if you're getting the avocado toast and that's $6, we need you to work for an hour, or we need you, I mean, is that kind of how it works?
We ask people to work for an hour.
Okay.
It give or take, it may be more, it may be less. What we have found is people want to work. So they would stay all day because they have a purpose. They have a place.
It's a sense of pride.
It's a sense of pride. And so we sometimes have to say, you're good, we're good, like, we'll see you tomorrow. But yeah,
I mean, how many employees could you possibly have at one time?
It is beautiful chaos. It is crazy in there. I swear I think my manager wants to kill me every single day because there is we see 30 to 50 people volunteering for their meal a day.
Oh, wow.
And think about that. Think of how many people are walking in there needing a job.
Wow.
So y'all are in the restaurant industry. People are rolling silverware. We always need silverware rolled. People are bussing tables, doing dishes. We have a staff of 8, a fantastic staff of 8, that is cooking and doing coffee, and they are professionals. Mm-hmm. So the volunteers are not cooking. The volunteers are helping them be successful, basically.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes maybe there's a misconception. Sometimes the people that are volunteering to help aren't necessarily people without homes or people without jobs. I've noticed that like college students have come in to help out and give their service in alternative ways. It's really it's communal all around. It's not specifically generated to just focus on those that say, I don't even know if the term homeless is even allowed anymore. I think it's
people experiencing homelessness. It's an experience. Or people living in poverty, people on the margins. Mm-hmm. But no, you're right. Like spot on. We have a mix of volunteers. And that's the coolest part is sometimes you don't even know who's volunteering for their meal and who's not. We have a sign up online where people can volunteer with us. And some people are great, and some people, the restaurant industry is just hard. But some people have a blast with it because it's fun. And so we have another 10 to 15 people who volunteer with us a day as well, who have signed up or have regular shifts with us.
I see.
Is that like how you know what type of food you get is how good you performed? Like, you did an exceptional job. I'll take the surf and turf.
Well, I wish we could do that. Again, my staff is so great, and they're so patient, and sometimes you're like, this person cannot volunteer again. And I'm like, oh, they have to volunteer again. They're donors, right? Like,
I guess you got to find a job that they are better suited for at that point.
You do. It's usually just going to the dish room. And if you're not great at washing dishes, you dry dishes. Mm-hmm. Everyone can dry a dish.
Yeah, everyone can take out the garbage, mop the floor.
Right. Yeah. Wipe down tables. No, I'm just kidding. Most people are 100% great at it. It's hard work. It's not easy work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other thing is menu-wise, you're not a soup kitchen. You're doing somewhat highbrow food and serious food. Mm-hmm. Talk to a little bit about like your sourcing and what your menu looks like on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Someone asked me if I ate at the restaurant every day. They asked me that this morning, and I said, absolutely. I hate Mondays. We're closed on Mondays. I don't get to eat our food, right? We have a all-star culinary trained chef. He is incredible. Has brought his talents. He's from New Orleans area, and so
you can say his name. His name
is Andrew Gravins.
Okay.
Yeah, so come in and meet him. He's fantastic. He has just a great menu and is doing specials every day. Everything is chef prepared. So him and his sous chefs are making things to order every day. We're very limited. That's the problem is we have a small kitchen. Mm-hmm. So if you go in, people think you see this back room and that's probably the kitchen. No, everything that when you walk in and see is what you see. We don't have a hood, so we can't make a lot of things. So we are working with what we have. So we have waffle makers, we have panini makers, we have soup warmers, we have everything that you can make with hoodless equipment.
Gotcha.
For those that don't understand what you're talking about, like the hood above your oven needs to be able to suck out all all the hot air and the smoke and things like that. So without that, you are limited as to what you can do. But I love the challenge. Former guest of the show, Bobby McFarland, was heading up Lucarne for a long time, and they were doing this crazy late night snack food, and it was delicious. But he didn't have a hood either.
Really?
And he was throwing down some amazing food. But it's like a Top Chef challenge. You get to do all these things, but you don't get your knives or something.
Right.
Not being able to use the hood or the grill, if you will, or a salamander or all those things, creates its own creativity. And does that make sense? Its own creativity?
Sure. I think we got what you're saying.
You get to make it whatever you want. Yeah.
And that makes it fun. But I've dined there a bunch of times recently, and especially because one of our partners here at the kitchen, Matthew Konar and Jen Truman, they must be there every day, right?
Yeah, they're every day. They're coffee club members. That is something you all can do. It's $100 for a nice coffee mug, and we splurge on the nice coffee mugs. And you get coffee for the year. Yeah, so you can come in and get drip coffee all day, every day, all year.
For $100,
$100. Think about that. If you're spending $2 a day,
for sure.
Konar has exceeded that
he's definitely gone over.
And it's January 7th.
Now in the red. He's put you in the red.
Right.
But, I mean, he's an architect that designs amazing restaurants around town, and he's like, dude, if you haven't gone to a place at the table, you got to go there. The food is delicious. It's healthy, but it's not too healthy. It's like
If you want a waffle one day, you can get a waffle with lemon curd and berries. If you want a salad, you can get that as well. We also have our homemade Pop-Tarts. We call them Pops Tarts because we didn't want to steal away Pop-Tart, and they're just a lot better.
Might be some law infringement.
That's what we were thinking.
Yeah.
We also have a door greeter named Pops. He is, if anyone knows Sean Degnan from Buku, it's his father. He greets every Friday, is never not there, always there. And so we named the Pops Tarts after him. And he's wonderful. So Friday afternoons, come meet him. But we have Pop Tarts. We have all different vegan pastries and normal pastries and
So for example, the coffee. Where do you get your coffee from?
Sure, we use Larry's beans.
There you go.
Right.
And they're guest and supporter of the show, Larry's Coffee.
Woohoo! They are great supports of us and great partners to have. And the coffee's good.
Yeah.
And we have great baristas who have gone and tried it out, chosen the blend, and who are constantly growing our coffee program.
That's awesome.
There's a bunch of sound going on here, but look. Yeah. As a guest of the show, look what you received. Catch, Maggie.
Thank you.
As
if I need more coffee in my life.
We have Larry's Coffee that's donated for guests of the show on the
awesome.
NC F&B podcast. So that was just a perfect time to mention it.
Perfect.
Because they love to help out the kitchen and what we do. So, we
Thanks, Larry.
They're good people.
So the first time I knew anything about a place at the table was at Larry's Coffee over there in Gavin Street, and I believe that was to gain some awareness. There was an event. We were talking about it. It was maybe to get some donations and maybe some collaborations. But there was a fun event happening out there. It was outdoor. There was tons of food going on. That's the first time that I don't know if we officially met, but I was there. I was in the room, and because I'm friends with Larry and all, and it was so great to see the community. I think at that point, that must have been in the beginning of 2017.
It was 2017.
Was kind of like we did it. We're going to actually open this place. There was like the last push for some fundraising. And, I probably gave $14, maybe $15.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. You've provided a place at the table for someone.
Yeah, there you go. But I couldn't understand the concept of how are they going to do this? So I want to get into that. Like you mentioned Sean Degnan, and he's of Buku. Without getting we don't need to know the exact dollars and all that, but however you feel comfortable, there are contributors to a place at the table that are bigger companies and such, and people that have been benefactors to help get this off the table. Because of course, if someone couldn't spend the $6 on the aforementioned avocado toast and spends $2, well, you still have a profit margin you have to exceed. So how does that work?
Sure, yeah. So for 3 years, it took us 3 years to build this. So since 2015, we have been building. We did not ask for donations in that time because we weren't a product. We were this concept. And people, sure, they said, yay, this is great. We believe in you. But they didn't give money. We didn't ask for money because we didn't have any valid place. We didn't have a brick and mortar. Yeah. So for years we just told the story and got people to follow along. And so it was I want to when is the exact date? It was probably July of 2017 where we finally had our landlord come to us and say, we have a space for you. It had been years coming. We had asked many landlords. We had worked with our real estate agent and tried to find a spot. I can't tell you how many times we've drawn up plans, or our fantastic architect has drawn up plans, how many spaces we've seen, but landlords immediately said no, that they didn't want a soup kitchen nonprofit there. And since, again, we're not a regular restaurant, we can't just go get a loan at the bank. We had to one, get access to a space and have landlords believe in us, and then two, had to fundraise. So once in this July 2017 time, once we found we had a space, we started hard on the fundraising. Yeah. So we started reaching out to different people and partners. Lots of individuals stepped forward, people who had followed us since the beginning and gave $5, $10, $10,000, $25,000 because they believed in a place at the table.
And these were at events that donated, or just asking for
These
donations?
were just asking. These were people who had followed us for years and we had relationships with. I always call fundraising friends raising because it's really growing friends. It's growing your supporters and the people that believe in you. And then we also had we had some bigger donors, so we were finally able to ask some corporate partners. Blue Cross and Blue Shield saved us. They came in with the Thrive event, which I'm sure you've done a feature on.
Yes, we did.
And and they came in and gave us $100,000, which is a huge blessing. And once
they did that to us too.
That's why your office is so great.
Yeah.
And then Golden Corral came in, and some other companies came in once all that was happening. So we were very fortunate at the end. But you refer back to Sean and Buku and Soka and our architect and our lawyer. All these people did things pro bono for us. That was what was incredible, to see the community step up and say, I can do this for you. Let me help you. Tabletop Media Group came in and did our rebranding. And Larry stepped in and did events for us, and Sean and Buku and Soka. Sean joined our board, and we got to do all these events at his restaurants, and we got to work with his team. His team came in and helped us open our doors. For the first 2 months, they were there every single day, helping us run the restaurant effectively.
And that's like the cool part, is that he didn't, regardless of finances, he was giving that sweat equity and knowledge about how to run a place. Because Buku, Soka, these are great establishments here in the Raleigh Triangle area. They're opening new places all over. Like they're really, really cool. And that sometimes is worth way more than the experience and the knowledge of running a place. Because having gone there a few times, it's like it runs well. You, on your side of it, might go like, it's always crazy.
It's so chaotic. I'm dying.
That's how every restaurant manager or executive director feels about it at times. Yeah. But from the outside looking in, it's like, no. You would almost think it'd be more chaotic given its design. With like volunteers coming in here, you're like, you got the mop upside down, buddy. Yeah.
Right.
It seems pretty.
It does. It
well
works.
Run.
It works. It's because we have an awesome staff. Honestly, our staff is great, and they know what they're doing, and they're patient, and they're good people.
And the full-time staff gets paid like a regular restaurant worker? I mean, or they get paid a salary or an hourly wage or something like that?
So we pay a living wage. So we pay North Carolina rate of living wage is $15 an hour. So we pay that. We're beginning to offer health insurance this year, which is awesome. So they do. It's a little different than a regular restaurant. I mean, I'm not in every regular restaurant, but I've worked in restaurants my whole life, and I know I did not get paid that.
Yeah.
$15 an hour is pretty significant. I mean, I know when I was hiring line cooks at Midtown and at Standard Foods, we wouldn't hire any line cook for $15 an hour. That was pushing it. I mean, that pushed our budget, and we were trying to make money. Like we were a for-profit restaurant. So I think that's mighty big of you.
Thank you for saying that. We believe that, it's a hard environment to work in. You're not clocking in and clocking out. You're clocking in, sure, but you are working alongside a ton of people. Every day is different. No day is the same. And you have to have a patience of a saint, and you have to believe in our greater mission. And you're not going to last if you don't believe in our greater mission. And so we have people who truly have found their sense of community, have found their place at a place at the table. And so we pay them well because we believe in that.
Well, that gets me to thinking of both sides of the coin when we're talking, and actually, pardon the pun, but I'm talking about it in a financial sense. If, let's say, your employees made the actual minimum wage or so, and they're barely getting by, well, of course, their heart could only be so big. But if they're having major financial troubles at home, that's going to distract them from giving their all. But to the other point of it, I've been in a situation when I worked at Wolfgang Puck in Los Angeles where we would take food at the end of the night. We did so much crazy catering, and my roommate at the time, Joe Jeffrey, he and I would take all this extra food and just go to Santa Monica, 3rd Street Promenade, that unfortunately is just completely filled with people that don't have homes, and we would just give the food out to everybody. Later on, I got chastised by the management saying, you can't do that, like legally, blah, 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 but we were giving it out. But the one thing I noticed was giving free food to people is not necessarily a cure-all. And having somebody work for it or pay for it or even just pay some for it really inspires that person or makes them feel more feel better about themselves at the end of the day. People don't necessarily want to receive charity. You know, like
that was the Hungry Harvest when they set up those in lunchrooms. They would people would pay something for it.
They realize that even if you're paying $2 for something, it's much better for them than just giving it for free.
Yep, you take pride in it.
Yeah.
And we always say, come bring your families too. Bring your families, and if you were going to go to McDonald's or you were going to cook ramen for your family of 4, bring them to a place at the table, because you may not be able to afford the full price, but you can pay something and feel like you are having a nice dining experience and you're caring for your family. And there's a sense of pride that comes with it.
So 2 questions, of course, come to mind in that. What if somebody either, let's say first scenario, literally, I have a quarter in my pocket. That's what I could pay for it.
Sure. We are going to have you volunteer some.
We're going to
have you volunteer some.
Okay. And then, so what if a person that is not experiencing homelessness says, well, I've had a rough week or whatever, I can only pay 50 cents for this or 75 cents.
Sure.
What happens then?
Sure. We don't judge. We don't know who is experiencing poverty and who's not. It's really interesting. Let's
say Max came in.
Sure.
And he's paying.
Well,
I got 75 cents on this.
Maggie and I made this. Well, I'm internationally known, so that's a hard. But Maggie and I made a joke. We were looking out the window of Fayetteville Street right here, and I was kidding because I saw a guy outside that had a big scraggly beard and he was kind of wearing like some ripped clothes. And I'm like, in today's day and age, that guy may not have a home or a job, or he's about to open up a brand new barbecue shop,
or he works for Google.
Or Google. Yeah,
we don't know.
You cannot judge. You have no idea.
No, granted, but
so that same guy could walk in, and your perception is, this
right.
guy might be down on his luck.
Right, of course. And we all judge.
Let's say he's
human
like,
nature.
I have 3/4 in my. That's what I have.
Yep.
That's what I can pay today.
Yep.
So what happens then?
So we do ask you pay half. We do.
You do
now,
ask you pay half.
We do. If you.
And who has that conversation? Is the counter or the person who collects regularly a staff member? Could that be a volunteer?
It is. They are volunteers and staff members, but they are trained volunteers. They've been with us since the beginning.
Okay.
They have read.
No random person works the register.
Oh heck no! You better be on my top 20 list of trusted people if you're touching our cash register.
Gotcha.
No, they know the deal. They know how to interact with people. They've been trained on it. We've had several back and forth meetings and conversations about it. It gets uncomfortable sometimes. I'm not going to lie.
I bet.
And people don't know how to make that decision. We say there's exceptions to every rule. We ask you volunteer for your meal if you can't pay half, just because people could give 50 cents all day, every day, right? And we are a business. We still have to make money. But there are exceptions. Look, if he's having a hard day and he comes in and he's like, I just want to pay 50 cents, fine. That's okay.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, we're probably going to ask you to volunteer with us a little bit. But there are exceptions to every rule. And so our regular core volunteers who are with us, they have a weekly shift. They run the register. They know what they're doing. And our staff, they know that too, and they know just to make a judgment call.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
There's a nuance to it, but
there is.
You gotta
general
understand
rule
your
of
business.
thumb.
Yeah.
Yes. Our model works when 80% of people pay and pay more, and 20% of people pay less or volunteer for their meal.
Got it.
So let's get back to your menu, because you have a pretty cool menu, and you do a lot of local sourcing. I wasn't sure. You can buy beer there, right? You don't do beer and wine yet.
No, we have beer right now ready for our party tomorrow, but no, we don't do beer and wine.
Yeah, that would complicate things, because then it's like you can't pay half for beer,
You can't pay half for beer. And then it would be exclusive, and it would be another way to separate people, and also we also have people in recovery.
And and I'm just going to say, let's be honest, there is a stigma that a lot of people, when they might be experiencing homeless, but I'm a person, and call me bad, but I have the first impression, oh, this person is trying to get alcohol. That's what they're trying to get money from.
If you did want to get beer or wine, and possibly even at a discounted rate, you could just go to Triangle Wine Company.
That's an excellent point.
That's where I was headed this whole time.
If you go there and you use the NC F&B promo code, they will automatically give you 10% off.
I'm going right after this.
Yeah.
I need wine at home at my house. It's perfect.
Well, if you live in the Triangle, more notably like this, what would you call it? Maybe like the western side of the Triangle, Raleigh, Cary, Holly Springs, Morrisville. Well, they have locations all around.
And Southern Pines.
So you can head there for all of your wine and beverage, wine, beer, cocktail mixer needs. They even have an actual bar at their location. So while you're shopping, take a load off. Pour yourself a pint of something. Well, they'll probably pour it for you. Don't get behind the counter. You're not volunteering at the Triangle
for your
Wine Company.
beer. Not volunteering for your beer.
But anyhow, tell them that the guys over at the NC F&B podcast, the North Carolina Food and Beverage podcast, sent you, and they'll give you 10% off of all your purchases. So go to trianglewineco.com, and then come right back to a place at the table.
Yeah,
I love
support
it.
those guys because they help keep the lights on here. So for all your food, for all your beverage purchases, go to Triangle Wine
I'm going there today.
Yeah, seriously.
Straight for me. We do also, on the alcohol note, I saw you had Social House in there.
Yeah.
Social House has supported us for years, and so have a few other places. So
great friends,
good community.
Great supporters of the podcast. And yeah, we fill our bar inside of the Kitchen Raleigh with exclusive North Carolina distilleries, with the exception of our Mexican tequila, because let's be honest, we have yet to make the Trujillo tequila courtesy of
the Trujillo tequila. Plus, you're Mexican, so it's okay.
Yeah,
I see a challenge coming.
Yeah.
I want it bad.
They've already tried to, grow agave in North Carolina, and it didn't work out too well.
Oh.
So
yeah, Marshall and Braun Brothers made a beer out of it instead.
Yeah.
But
I never tried that beer. Did you ever try it?
I didn't try that beer either.
It's probably a good one.
Hello, Marshall. If you're listening, send over some agave beer.
So you mentioned that you don't have any beer, but you have some for tomorrow.
We do.
Today is Monday.
Today is Monday, the
7th.
7th.
The 7th.
Yes.
Are you sure
the only reason I know that is
the 7th.
because the 8th is our 1 year.
What is tomorrow? It is your 1 year anniversary.
It is our 1 year birthday party. We have survived a year. Insane.
That's crazy.
That's a benchmark.
It's a huge benchmark, yeah. I was thinking I wasn't going to celebrate, but now this week I'm thinking, what the heck? Like, this is crazy. We have made it a year. We've officially been open a year. And it's as better as it can ever be. I mean, we've literally been on the Today Show. So
right.
I was going to say, you've been on the Today Show, which led you to be on the NC F&B podcast. So congratulations.
Exactly. Ellen's next. So there's Today Show, you guys, and Ellen.
Usually the progression.
Pretty much.
I'll call my buddy Jimmy Kimmel, see if you can get on that show
Please.
later.
Jimmy Kimmel, Ellen, I would take either.
But that was great because they were highlighting what you do, and and many other companies are starting to do this more often. So what does that look like for the future, and how do you see the progression of pay-as-you-go restaurants? How does that fit into our food and beverage community?
Sure. We want a place at the table. We don't necessarily want to go start a place at the tables other places because it took us 3.5 years. And it took us 3.5 years because we built relationships for those years. You really have to build a solid community support because if we hadn't, right now we would have just opened up, right? And no one would be dining with us. We'd have no credibility. But we've been busy this whole year because people have watched our process the whole 3 years. So if we were to go to Durham or Winston or another city somewhere and just open up a place at the table, it wouldn't necessarily work because people don't know us. People don't see how our journey has been. They haven't followed along or come to events. We want to help other places and show other places that a pay what you can model can work in a downtown thriving city.
I see.
There are a lot of pay what you can cafes across the country. They're all in, most of them are in smaller towns. They do it a little different than we do. Most are in like, they're open 11 to 2 and they do one meal. We want to show that, hey, you can be open 8 hours a day. You can offer a huge menu of things and you can run with a small staff and be in a downtown thriving area. And so we want this model, our model, to go to other bigger cities and say that it can work. A Ashley Christensen or a Sean Degnan can take this and have a component in their restaurant possibly. Who knows? But I really think this could be a huge growing trend for the country and the world.
You know, it's interesting because Mike Lee is a good friend of the show and somebody that we greatly respect, and a beacon of Durham cuisine that we've mentioned. Sushi, that we've mentioned a lot of times. And he has his master plan of creating sort of the nonprofit Shake Shack. My words, not his, but to that where everyone came and that would support other things. But I could see him being a huge supporter in something like creating a Durham pay as you go or pay as you wish scenario.
Yeah, I can too. We've in our conversations we've mentioned him, so you'll have to make that intro.
And so,
happy to.
By the way, this is total non sequitur, but has to be said. Matt and I had this question, and I get this all the time, and we said, should we ask it on the show or maybe before? Let's clear up some air. If anyone lives in the local area, you're probably familiar with Kane Realty. You and John Kane spell your name the same way. Are you related to John Kane?
He is my long lost father. Now you know I'm a trust fund baby over here.
Guess what, John?
Guess what, John? Maggie Kane exists in your life. Pay up. No. I've never met John. I would love to. One day I will. I know I will. I heard he's a fantastic person, but no.
He was a regular is a regular at Midtown Grill because he runs all the land
Everything?
that is North Hills, and then of course the Dillon just opened up recently downtown, and pretty much if you're standing somewhere in the Triangle,
Kane has touched
he
that.
owns it.
I was just in the parking, I was taking the elevator down and looking at the thing. Kane Realty.
Yep.
Yeah. If you've pooped anywhere, no.
Kane is involved in there.
Right.
But I tell people, literally, do you really think this would not have happened immediately? Like, I could have gone into any space I wanted, anywhere in town, if I was related to Kane.
That's true.
No, one day I'll meet John and Willa, but no, I am.
They're great people, and they have done so much for the community in developing what was Raleigh as such a small town to what it is currently. And man, they have plans. I've seen a lot. I've been in those production or those projection meetings of like where they're going to take North Hills and like the Glenwood South area. This place is going to be crazy over the next 10 years, and a lot of it's going to do with John Kane. Doesn't have anything to do with Maggie Kane.
Oh, it sounds like I need to talk to him.
But the only reason I bring it up is I said, in anticipation of a place at the table opening, and people would go, oh, that Maggie Kane gal. Oh, well, she's just a trust fund baby. That's John Kane's daughter or whatever. And I wanted to dispel that because that's not how this
Please don't believe the rumors.
You went to NC State. You've been struggling. You've been working hard. You've been you've cared. You put other people in front of yourself and doing, not a religious person, but I'll just say you've been doing the Lord's work.
Lord's work.
Just because, whatever.
Bless her soul.
Yes, thank you, my child. But you've been doing a great job, and I think you should get the credit for it. And you didn't do it only. I mean, look, there are people that are trust fund babies and choose to take that money and do great things with it. So those are great people too. Mm-hmm. But just clearing the air, that's not how this situation came to be.
It is not. I would pay for him to be my father, though. I would love to be a trust fund baby. It would make things a lot easier. Right. I don't have the trust fund, so we're talking $10.
Yeah. He's like,
pay as you can.
Pay what you can, trust fund
as
baby.
You can.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there the music's coming in.
Yeah.
Looks like we're getting out of here pretty soon. Maggie, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. Y'all are a blast.
Maggie, this is great work that you do. Thanks for the inspiration, and I hope those of you listening out there get inspired and go to a place at the table. You will have a place there, and you will eat and drink very merrily.
Thanks for listening to the NC F&B podcast. And if you've stuck with us this long, review us on iTunes, and remember, 5 stars are encouraged.